Hello everybody! Welcome to Monster Week, something I have never participated in before, and I can't figure out why. However, this time I was inspired to do so. I'm not part of any collaboration or anything, I'm just doing it on my own. Because this year it's Fae. Now, Fae is not typically something I cover. I have covered Fae creatures before, but it's not usually my wheelhouse of things. I like talking about apparitions and undead, and weird plant monsters. I like weird plant monsters, they're fun. But I've decided to do Fae. Specifically because I have one that's not official, but I think is really neat, and I can't figure out why there isn't one like this. I mean, I'm not saying specifically mechanically like this, because it gets weird and wanders off into the weeds, because I like creatures like that, but that's a me thing. But it's more of, why do we have so few creatures that fill the specific niche this thing fills? So, full context before I get into all of this. This is for a heavily homebrewed, house-ruled version of 3.5, based on the E6 variation of 3.5. Meaning, this entire stat block, which will be in the description, is compatible with both 3.5 and Pathfinder 1st Edition. If you're trying to do it for anything else, Godspeed to you, you figure that out how you want. This does also mean that certain things in there have assumptions that are not true in either of those games. I'm going to tell you, if you are playing this in either 3.5 or Pathfinder 1st Edition, just don't bother converting it, just use it exactly as is. The changes I have in the stat distribution don't matter. I'll get into the specifics at the end when we talk about stats. So, what are we talking about today? The Copycat. Pretty boring and basic name. I like those, sue me. For a Fae creature that is shockingly hard to find pictures for of anything like this. You'd think it'd be easy, okay? So let's go for the description. It is a pale-skinned, vaguely elfin creature with deep black holes for eyes and a wicked grin upon its face. Yeah, I've just described the Rake, the Wendigo, the Flesh Gate, the Crawler, and Slender Man with eyeballs. Do you know how hard it is to find a picture of that with clothes? I couldn't find one. So the thumbnail gets to be, well, what it is. It's an Adobe stock photo, for God's sake, and I can't find a better picture, and it's driving me nuts. You think you could find a freaky elf in a woods picture, but I couldn't. God, searching the internet sucks so much nowadays. It used to be so much better than that. Nope, it's kind of shit now. Anyway, me bitching about that aside. So what is the Copycat, and what does it do? The Copycat is an unseelie Fae, as noted by its chaotic evil alignment. It is a creature that enjoys tormenting, torturing, and then eventually killing and consuming its prey. What is its prey? Anything with an actual functioning brain. Not literally, as in, it wants sapience, so it wants to torture you and make you suffer for a while. It does this through its primarily through its mimicry ability, which is explicitly just mimicry. It is a perfect recreation of any sound it has heard, i.e. like a soundboard, or perfectly capable of replicating other noises of that variety. Meaning if it gets enough samples of your voice, it can just copy your voice perfectly. This is meant to be kind of a vague, broad ability, entirely because how do you can get really in the minutiae on that if you want, but it's meant to copy voices. So if it watched one of my videos, it's got 15-20 minutes of my voice, it can perfectly copy me. Now, what does it do with that ability other than just screw with people because it's funny? It definitely does that. It will totally just start mooing under your bed because it's hilarious. Don't tell me you wouldn't be freaked out if you heard a cow moo underneath your car at 2 a.m. Your bed at 2 a.m. You would. Freak you the hell out. So there shouldn't be a cow under there. So it does stuff like that, but it also does other weird things. It does the classic calling for help in the woods. It calls your name. It does all the fun, creepy stuff. But it has two other abilities it uses with this. It is capable of layering sounds into its mimicry, and they do two things. One, lulls you into a false sense of security as the hypnotism spell. Basically what it's just doing is it's kind of a mass vague charm, and it's just making you sedate and chill, and it's like, oh, it's fine, it's fine. And then it's just going to ask you to do something. Usually that request is, hey, I'm your buddy, right? I want to be in the party. and then it's in the party. A la the Fleshkin, or Anansi's Goat Man, if you've heard that story. Because that's actually where the Copycat's origins come from. That type of creature. And that's my dog walking around. Please ignore any weird sounds you're hearing. The Copycat's entire point is that it's meant to slip into parties and just be weird. Which is why it can shapeshift. Probably should have started with the shapeshifting instead of the weird mimicry, but the weird mimicry is kind of like its thing beyond just disguising itself as something else, like a doppelganger. Because it is a physical transformation, not a magical transformation. Okay, it's a magical physical transformation, but it's physically changing its shape. So if you poke it, it feels like it has scales if it looks like a lizard man or something. And the whole point of this is it's trying to ingratiate itself into the party via its initial ability. Now, what does it do from there? Well, it's got some combat abilities that are relevant here, but for the most part, it is just trying to fuck with you because it enjoys doing it, because it's a dick. That's just what it does. It's an asshole, and it does asshole things. That's kind of the extent of it. Yeah, that sounds kind of lame, but the whole point is it's a Fae. Fae have pretty wide varieties of motivations. You can kind of give them like a baseline and then screw around with it from there. This thing likes causing problems. It likes messing with people. It likes being the fifth member in a four-man party, and despite everyone being like 90% certain there was only 4 dudes in this party, and now there's a fifth calling themselves a rogue, but you have a rogue, and you've been with Tom for like 4 dungeons, and you don't know who the fuck this new guy is, but you're like, wait, no, we totally have a new guy, right? Like, that's a thing, and then your brain starts getting a little muddled. Now, this is not usually going to work for very long on normal adventurers, because normal adventurers are paranoid bastards. Because if you're not a paranoid bastard as an adventurer, you don't become a normal adventurer, you become a corpse for a Bethesda scene in your dungeon. Don't do that. Be paranoid. So, what does it do when it's found out? Or when it wants to kill something? Well, it's got 2 more abilities. So the other ability it has with layering sounds is a horrific shriek. Think the Nazgul. It's layering every predatory scream, bellow, and wail it's got into one horrible cacophonous howl, and it's freaking the hell out of everybody. So if you fail a will save, you're shaken for a couple of rounds. That's annoying, but not a huge problem. If you fail by 5 or more, because I do like that as a mechanic, you're panicked for 2d4 rounds and then shaken for a couple of more rounds after the panic wears off. So you've fucked off somewhere else. Don't be weak to fear, people. It's a terrible thing to be weak to in D&D. It's a really good way to just run off a map for a while and be completely useless. Now, that's bad enough. These are all issues. Now combine that with its spell-like abilities of Charm Person, which is an issue, and then Obscuring Mist, which allows it to hide. And that's a problem, because it can jump out and try to claw you to death. Now, it's not going to do that because it's bad at it. Not the jumping out part. That part it's good at. It's just, it's weak. It's flimsy. The claws are there and they're nice, but it's very flimsy. It has no strength. Because that's not what it's trying to do. So it's trying to set all of this up for the big ability. Puppeteering. Puppeteering is, it will lift its hand, gesture, and a bunch of ephemeral strings will launch out and latch onto someone. And if they fail their will save, the copycat has complete control of the character. Not like Dominate, where I just tell you what to do, as in, no, the copycat has full control of your character on their next turn. And every turn until you succeed on a will save, get out of it. Which you only get will saves if it's going to make you do something you really don't want to do. So if it just grabs you and just kind of walks off, that's kind of it. Now granted, once you start like walking off, and it's like, no, I really don't want to go walked off into the dark woods by the scary pale thing, yeah, you can will save for that one. But if you fail that, you're kind of screwed. You just keep trying to make them until you get out of it. So don't have bad will saves, people. Very bad things happen to you when you have those. I'm talking to you, Mr. Fighter, with a 10 wisdom and shit will save. Get a better will save, or just be under protection from evil all the time. Just go get an item of that. It's expensive, yes, but you stop being mind controlled by things. It's very good. So anyway, when it does that, it can run off and do stuff. That's not what it wants to do. Remember, it wants to sow chaos, it wants to cause problems, it wants to be a dick. So it's going to mind control the fighter and make the fighter stab the wizard. Or, if it's ballsy, it's going to mind control the wizard and make the wizard fireball the party. Because yes, it can make you do anything it knows you are capable of doing. In theory. Like, for instance, if the wizard doesn't have any fireballs left, you can't fireball, obviously. But it does know you can spellcast. So any spells that it knows you have and are capable of casting, and if you're a prepped caster, prepped anyway, it can make you cast. So it has full control over you. Now, I know a bunch of you are thinking, okay, that's annoying and a pain. Can it make you attack yourself? The answer is yes. It can make you attack you. And it's really bad if it does that. Because again, it can use all of your abilities. So it can make the barbarian rage and then full power attack themselves, and they are treated as flat-footed against this attack, because you can't dodge, because it's not letting you dodge. So it's just going to, make the barbarian hit themselves with a great axe really hard. Which is why, if it successfully hits you, it counts as an automatic crit. Because it's making you hit yourself in, the neck. It's not just, whacking yourself in the leg or something. It's like, no, we're hitting an important bit. A really important bit. Now, of course, there's more to this than just these little mechanically bits here. When you realize it has full control of your actions, you also don't get to talk. Because talking is a free action, and it's not going to let you do that. So it's usually not launching the puppeteering in the middle of combat. It's more of a creature that's going to stealth up on you, and then hit whoever's on watch during the camp. And take over that person and make them walk off into the bushes, and stab themselves while not screaming, because they're not allowed to scream. That's what the Copycat does. Now that I've covered the mechanics, very briefly and very truncatedly, again, it's in the description, you can read them, it's fine. Let's go over things to do with them, because I've sort of briefly covered what they can do. Now, fun things you can do with Copycats. Think of every green text creepypasta you've ever heard in your life. Steal half of them. Just isolated farmstead, creepy thing, killing the cows and stuff, torturing people, just running around being a dick. They don't actually have to kill the farmers, they're just trying to cause chaos and make them terrified because it likes being a jackass. Until it eventually decides to have the farmer kill his wife, or his wife kill the farmer, or the kid kill the farmers. Again, they're messed up. So there's been a couple of farm murders now, and, the kid's done it, if you want to get, really messed up about it. I understand if you don't, but I'm just saying, if you like to go the full horror route, there it is. But if you're really fun about it, you can make it so that no one actually sees it. It's sitting in a window or hiding nearby, and it's puppeteering from the shadows, and then forcing them to kill their partner while asleep or something. Also, of course, making them wake up before they coup de grace them, because you have to do that if you're going to be an evil jackass who's puppeteering somebody, obviously. Otherwise, you're not doing it right. So now they got a mystery. Who is this? Who made someone murder someone else? Because they talked about, when they interviewed the person, that they had no control. And if they go the full 9 yards, they drop zone of truth. The person's telling the truth. They had no control over their body. It's as if they're being puppeteered. But how does that make sense? That's not how dominate and charm person work. It's not how suggestion works, really. Because that's an idea implanted in your head that you can't escape. That's different. This is physical control of your body, and you can't stop it. Now that's the fun one. The other one is, what happens if you run into it in a dungeon? What's it doing in a dungeon? Who knows? What else is in the dungeon? Is it hanging out with bandits? Is it screwing with the bandits? Is it pretending to be a bandit, hanging out with bandits, and then having fun messing with them at night? Is it in a cult? Entirely because it's really funny watching the cultists try to summon something while it's purposefully doing it wrong. Entirely so it can torture more people. There's a lot of ideas with a general evil fae whose motivation is primarily to just cause suffering. Yes, that sounds really generic, like, oh, it just wants to cause suffering. But it's also in it for its own personal sadistic enjoyment. So it wants to be involved. It's not like it's going to set up a plan to, detonate a nuke, a fantasy nuke, in the middle of a city. That's boring. That's not fun. It doesn't want to do that. It wants to be personally, heavily involved in whatever's occurring. So it wants to be part of a cult of murderers. It wants to be involved in tormenting isolated farmsteads. It wants to be this individual serial killer inside of a small town. That one's fun. It wants to create the haunted house that anyone that goes into dies a horrific death. Honestly, that's a fun one. Do that one. That's a good one. If there's a creepy house somewhere and everyone swears it's haunted, it's not actually haunted. I mean, it's the lair of a copycat, and it's just making it seem like it's haunted. Give it some magic items so it just cheats. Drop some silent images and crap in order to make it look like there's ghosts and wraiths running around. There's actually none of that. It's just it. Bonus points if it somehow gets its hand on some zombies and has zombies walking around in order to really sell the fact that this is an undead-themed adventure. And nope! Bam! There's an evil puppeteer at the end of this. As I said, the whole theming of this is it's based off of the Fleshgate and Anansi's Goatman, which is it's meant to be a pseudo doppelganger, but more than just the doppelganger. Doppelgangers are fun. Any plot you can do with a doppelganger, you can do with a copycat. The difference is the copycat has additional powers to go along with it, and I don't know if it's actually better in a straight up fight or not than a doppelganger. I'd probably give it more points. Probably better just straight up fighting than doppelgangers. Just doppelgangers have detect thoughts, which is an insane ability. But be that as it may, you're all smart enough to come up with really cool stuff with this. Come on, because again, it's a freaky doppelganger with mind control powers and body puppeteering capabilities. The plots write themselves. They just sound trite until you realize you could swap them out for a freaky fae creature. It's a lot of fun. Now, I said I was going to go briefly over the mechanics. I will here. You can skip off. You can stop if you don't care anymore. But very briefly, mechanically speaking, things that have changed. Int can now be applied to Reflex for free. Charisma can be applied to Will for free instead of Wisdom. These are just stat swaps. That's just a convenience thing on my part. Point blank shot, weapon finesse, and power attack are all considered to be just inherent things you do in my version of the game. So that's why it has weapon finesse bonuses without having weapon finesse. Just for clarity's sake. Beyond that, I think it's everything that's relevant to that stat block. Probably. There might be some more there. Skills look like Pathfinder skills. That's about it. It's about all you really need to know. As far as, like I said, just take the stat block, use it as is. If the feat looks weird, swap the feat out for something else. That's all you need to do. But anyway, glad you're here to watch the video. Yes, I did remember my password. We can go ahead and make the jokes about that now. But what do you guys think of the Copycat? This is a horribly unscripted video that I have made on a whim, and I'm going to edit in like 10 minutes, so who the fuck knows what this is going to look like. It's probably going to sound terrible, even worse than my normal ones, because this is even more half-baked than usual. But, you guys all have fun. Use this creature in your games. Or don't, and just use the standard doppelganger stat block that'll get you 80% of what I've got. With that being said, let me know what you feel down below. Remember to like, share, subscribe. There's a hype function now. Sure, fuck it, YouTube. It's apparently only on mobile. I don't even know if my channel allows it. Because who knows at this point? I don't know how any of this works. You do all the YouTube crap that you're supposed to do now. And I will see you guys all in the next one, whenever the hell that is.